So Justice Democrat Khanna recently had an interview on Fox News on Medicare for All. So let's just watch. It's amazing.
I want to get your take on the possibility of a single-payer healthcare system, and is that something that Democrats could really get behind?
We would. And, the president in his own book, The America We Deserve, touted Medicare for All and touted Canada and Australia systems in the past. That's something Democrats would support. Democrats would also support his call for prescription drug reform, allowing prescription drugs to be imported, something he called for on the campaign trail.
You do, and I know that you can read the criticism yourself. The criticisms for a single-payer healthcare system are they're massive. You have those who say, listen, this is going to be massive payroll tax hikes. This is going to be impossible for businesses. It's unsustainable. It's an illusionary promises. And if you look at countries who have tried it, there are critics who say it leads to rationing, and there's things that aren't included, like Medicaid expansion, some aspects of Medicaid, and also sometimes even in countries, you can look at the UK, where prescriptions aren't even covered. So is that something that we could sustain as a country? I realize states have tried it, but as a country, federally, could we sustain that?
Well, the current cost of health care, as you know, Liz, is $49 trillion over the next 10 years. And the estimates, if you go to Medicare for All, would be $32 trillion. So you'd have a $17 trillion saving. And that's because you would cut out a lot of the excessive costs of insurance companies, the hospitals that are ripping off Americans with things like facilities fees, the pharmaceutical industries that we pay the most for drugs in the world, and Medicare isn't able to negotiate, which they would be able to do. So I actually think it would be a cost saving, and most importantly, the biggest cost to small businesses and entrepreneurs, if you ask them, it's not wages, it's healthcare. It's what makes our businesses not competitive, and which often leads to outsourcing. If we want to bring manufacturing back, if we want to create businesses here, we shouldn't burden them with the cost of insurance. So I think it can be pro-business. President Trump used to think it was pro-business. That's why he touted it in his own books before running.
Okay. I mean, we could probably spend the whole hour talking about it, but you're certainly going to have people who say that it's basically almost impossible to support, but we heard your argument, and then I think that the idea certainly sounds appealing, but then you look at some of the costs, it may be almost impossible.
Okay, let's go through everything. One, Khanna completely destroyed her in this interview. Okay? That's a fact. Let me tell you why. Khanna mentioned some important things. The first off is, yes, Donald Trump did support a single-payer system multiple times. There are multiple quotes of him supporting a single-payer system. But you can even find him saying things like, oh, yeah, my buddy, he went to Denmark, and he got care fixed right up. He fixed it right up. And things like that. And I respect that, and Trump's not doing that now, because of course he isn't. He's a shill. And the other thing Khanna mentioned is that it would lead to saving money if we could negotiate prices. This is extremely true. This is a fact. And they're like, and then they respond with, oh, why, the prices are impossible. He just explained why the prices aren't impossible. He just said, yeah, it's possible to do. Yeah, we can do it. So yeah, Khanna destroyed her in this interview, and that's really it. I'm Ephrom, and good night.